Stagecoach, the film, directed by John Ford, proved to be a turning point for the Hollywood Western. It offered a new energy and multifaceted story that contributed to a reinvigorated genre. This film pushed the expectations of a Western, which I'll talk about in a little while. So, what makes a Western? This shot here communicates to the audience that it is a Western. A long shot that establishes our setting in the Old West was a common cinematic technique used in Western films. All the formal elements in these opening scenes not only suggest a Western film, but also help to develop the narrative. For example, the audience might wonder where the riders are heading as they enter the frame from the distance. The use of diegetic sound in this scene, coupled with the imagery of the American flag, suggests an imminent conflict.
He had a brush with him last night. Says they're being stirred up by Geronimo.
Geronimo? How do we know he isn't lying?
No, he's a Cheyenne. They hate Apaches worse than we do.
The dialogue in this scene confirms that danger is coming. Ford focuses the attention of this threat by ending the dialogue with the name Geronimo. The non-diegetic music adds further angst to the narrative.
Geronimo.
Now this here is a good example of iconography in a Western. In this scene, as the camera pans to the left, we the viewer are immersed in the shot. We partake in the lively hum of the horse carriages and riders as they make their way through the busy frontier town. Comparing this intimate frame with the extreme long shots in the opening scenes, we can devise an antithesis between civilization and the wilderness, between the individual and the community. This antithesis becomes more apparent as we continue. Ford's emphasis on the antithesis is further developed as we are introduced to the stagecoach. When the stagecoach is on the move, all of the travellers are bound together to form somewhat of a community. What's important to consider is that when a community shares the same views and desires, the community is in harmony, and therefore conflict is not possible. So does this community of stagecoach passengers share the same desires? Initially I'd say yeah. They have a common goal in sight, to get to Lordsburg. As we progress, the stagecoach comes to a halt and the characters individually become apparent. The mise-en-scene in this frame begins to expose some disharmony as the characters exit the stagecoach door. Each individual leaves the frame from different sides, thus heading in different directions. This particular shot subtly reveals that the community may not be bound by unity, but bound by convenience. It's not surprising that the diverse range of individuals are bound by convenience. The motley group of travellers allows for an elaborate combination of character relationships that will naturally manifest into entertaining narrative. For example, the wealthy, sophisticated Lucy Mallory seems to have a strange tension with Hatfield as he greets her. This reveals a society divided by class.
Hardly a gentleman, Mrs. Mallory.
I should think not. He's a notorious gambler.
Other social dynamics are introduced as we meet the remaining stagecoach passengers. The actors' performances in this scene are worth noting as it accentuates the characters' personalities, helping the audience to distinguish between the numerous characters introduced. Buck, the squeaky-voiced affable driver, is completely contrasted with Curly Wilcox, the honourable and brave marshal. Whilst all the passengers intend on going to Lordsburg as their primary objective, there are other factors that bring the characters aboard. For example, the marshal is looking to track down the outlaw named the Ringo Kid. These other more self-seeking intentions reveals disharmony within the stagecoach community, especially when these intentions interfere with the other characters.
You boys take care of the office for a couple of days. I'm going to Lordsburg with Buck. I'm going to ride shotgun. Oh, gosh, if I could learn to keep my big mouth shut.
In this scene, we're introduced to Mr. Gatewood, the angry, corrupt banker. The editing has allowed the audience to easily juxtapose Gatewood with the marshal, focusing their attention to the hero-villain image.
There's your receipt, $50,000. And remember this, what's good for the banks is good for the country.
The close-up shot here indicates some antagonism and hostility. Class distinction becomes more apparent as we meet Dallas, the rowdy prostitute, and Boone, the drunken doctor.
Good, Mr. Bad Rubbish. Get out and stand. I'm keeping your trunk because you ain't paid your
Notice the body language of the sporting characters here. It's clear they have been afflicted with prejudice by the town. The audience may anticipate a rising complication. How will the upper class citizens like Miss Mallory act towards these lower class dregs? Though there are several sources of character tensions that may escalate into a climax, there are also comical moments that relieve this build-up. Doc and Mr. Peacock have an especially humorous dynamic. Doc acts overly courteous towards Peacock, who is too polite to thwart his exploitation. The lighting that glows on Peacock authenticates Doc's dependency on him.
Best customer I got.
I'm leaving town, Jerry.
Honest?
Yes, old friend, and I thought you might, out of memory of our many happy...
All right, Doc. Just this one.
Right, Jerry.
Here's a man going on the stagecoach with you. He's an Easterner from Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Kansas, brother.
Your health, Reverend.
I'm not a clergyman. My name is Peacock.
He's a whiskey drummer.
What? Well, how are you, Mr. Haycock?
Peacock.
Don't tell me, sir. I know a familiar name and another name. I never forget a face or a friend. Samples? Right.
The high-angle shot of the stagecoach here foreshadows its vulnerability and the inevitable climax it's leading to.
I want $5, Henry.
Certainly, my dear, certainly. Well, what is it?
This scene here confirms Gatewood's ill nature. I think Gatewood is the biggest villain in the film, as his motives are powered by pure greed. One could make the connection that his character represented the banks and financial systems that provoked the Great Depression. Having a hero and villain in the stagecoach also adds tension to the story, as Gatewood could very likely be found out by the marshal. Upon meeting the passengers, it is fair to say they don't have much in common, aside from their destination. In spite of all that, the individuals return to the stagecoach and once again form a community where relationships are certain to collide, because in the wilderness, when the stagecoach rides, the passengers are stuck within the confines of the stagecoach. This provides all the ingredients essential to create a big Hollywood epic, where the story endures a rising action and build-up of tension that eventually erupts into a satisfactory climax.
Carry it with honor.
I'll take it, Doctor.
No trouble at all. No trouble at all. I'll carry it on my lap. Here we go, Reverend.
Mrs. Whitney, you're not going to let your friend travel with that creature.
She's right, Lucy. And besides, you're not well enough to travel.
It's only a few hours, Nancy. I'm quite all right.
But you shouldn't travel a step without a doctor.
There is a doctor, dear. The driver told me.
Doctor? Doc Boone? Why, he couldn't doctor a horse.
This dialogue shows that Lucy is uncomfortable riding with the prostitute and drunken doctor.
There you go.
Pleasant journey, Mrs. Mallory.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
In the beginning, the stakes are outlined. Geronimo is on the loose, and tension has been created. The danger in the territory and the fact the stagecoach must pass through creates an unexpected sense of adventure that goes beyond the conventional Western. This is how Ford had reinvigorated the genre, by pushing expectations and creating a film that uses cinematic techniques to portray a complex narrative with many dimensions. Thank you.